Canada strong. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney powerfully pushing back against the Trump regime, putting the dagger in and announcing that April 28th will be general elections in Canada. Mark Carney on Sunday called for a snap general election, and in his speech announcing the general elections will be taking place and Parliament will be dissolved, Mark Carney had strong words about Donald Trump's abysmal conduct.
We are facing the most significant crisis of our lifetimes because of President Trump's unjustified trade actions and his threats to our sovereignty. Our response must be to build a strong economy and a more secure Canada. President Trump claims that Canada isn't a real country. He wants to break us so America can own us. We will not let that happen. We're over the shock of the betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. We have to look out for ourselves. We have to look out for each other.
And now here's the moment where Prime Minister Carney officially calls for the snap election. Let's play it right here.
There is so much more to do to secure Canada, to invest in Canada, to build Canada, to unite Canada. That's why I'm asking for a strong, positive mandate from my fellow Canadians. I've just requested that the Governor-General dissolve Parliament and call an election for April 28th. And she has agreed.
Prime Minister Carney then posted the following: I have just asked the Governor General to dissolve Parliament and call a federal election on April 28th. We need to build the strongest economy in the G7. We need to deal with President Trump's tariffs. Canadians deserve a choice about who should lead that effort for our country. Prime Minister Carney also posted the following: Let's go, #Canada Strong. He also posted the following: I'm asking Canadians for a strong and positive mandate to deal with President Trump and build a stronger economy here and at home. By the way, at MeidasPlus.com, we were covering those protests, Detroit and in Windsor, where Americans were showing solidarity with Canadians. I want to show you, though, from over the past few days as well, Prime Minister Carney is coming with a plan to invest in Canada, to ensure that Canada's sovereignty is protected by bolstering the military and by standing up to the Trump regime. Here's what Prime Minister Carney said a few days ago before announcing the snap elections, which he did on Sunday. Play this clip.
It's about getting things done. It's about getting, yes, pipelines built across this country so that we can displace imports of foreign oil. It's about building out the energy infrastructure more broadly here in Alberta, which I would add would include projects such as the pathways. It's about building energy corridors and trade corridors, including potentially up from here through to Nunavut. So we have additional deepwater ports and opportunities there. And so the commitment is to deliver those, and then the federal government using all of its power in order to accelerate delivering those projects. So then it gets into details of what's changed here and there, but the commitment is to deliver faster at a different scale. And if I may just add one other thing, I said a week ago or 10 days ago that we need to do things that had not been imagined or had not been thought possible at a speed we haven't seen before. And that's the nature of the time. And in order to do that, we're going to need to use at the federal level not just a commitment for cooperation, which we have under my government, but also additional levers that we create, and I'll be laying some of those out tomorrow with the premiers.
Now, as that's taking place, the right-wing Conservative Party in Canada, led by Pierre Poilievre, got some unwanted news, but news of their own making, as the National Post reports how a 2-week-old interview by Daniel Smith, the Conservative Premier of Alberta, drove day one of election coverage of the campaign. For Pierre Poilievre, who would rather focus his comments on the record of the Liberal government, it was an unwelcome development. Well, it was a development of your own making. And the development is that on Breitbart, a podcast from about 2 weeks ago has now resurfaced where the Alberta Premier, Danielle Smith, oftentimes people refer to her as Maple MAGA. She's one of those people who went to Mar-a-Lago to really kiss Donald Trump's ring, while all of the other premiers were, united with this Canada Strong mentality. She was trying to do like a divide and conquer approach. But as Courtney Theriault says, here's the audio expert with Daniel Smith on Breitbart confirming that she asked the Trump regime to basically help Poilievre in the election and said, hey, can you just temporarily pause the tariffs and Trump's attacks on Canada? We need Trump to help Poilievre and the Conservative Party win so we could help you, Donald Trump. And this right here just kind of opened the floodgates for everything we and others have been talking about, how we all knew that Poilievre is Maple MAGA. Here's that Breitbart interview. You'll hear again the Conservative Premier Danielle Smith of Alberta saying that she was involved in election interference with Donald Trump and the Trump regime to help the Conservative Party win the upcoming elections. Play this clip.
President Trump on these things, and it wouldn't be as tumultuous as what we're seeing right now. Is that something that you think is likely here? Are the Canadian people ready to go back the other way here and go away from the Liberal side that we've seen under Trudeau and whoever replaces him?
Before the tariff war, I would say yes. I mean, Pierre Poilievre is the name of the Conservative Party leader, and he was miles ahead of Justin Trudeau. But because of the what we see as unjust and unfair tariffs, it's actually caused an increase in the support for the Liberals. And so that's what I fear, is that the longer this dispute goes on, politicians posture, and it seems to be benefiting the Liberals right now. So I would hope that we could put things on pause, is what I've told administration officials. Let's just put things on pause so we can get through an election. Let's have the best person at the table make the argument for how they would deal with it. And I think that's Pierre Poilievre. And I do agree with you that if we do have Pierre as our prime minister, then I think that there's a number of things that we could do together. Pierre believes in development. He believes in low-cost energy. He believes that we need to have low taxes. Doesn't believe in any of the woke stuff that we've seen taking over our politics for the last 5 years. So I would think that there's probably still always going to be areas that are skirmishes or disputes about particular industries when it comes to the border. But I would say on balance, the perspective that Pierre would bring would be very much in sync with, I think, where the new direction in America. And I think we'd have a really great relationship for the period of time they're both in.
And this is from Steve Mahar, a longtime journalist writing in the Toronto Star. Here's what he says. For weeks, the Trump problem had been top of mind for conservative insiders. Two unrelated sources close to the Conservative Party's war room tell me that Poilievre's team had even floated, going so far as trying to get a message to the White House in an attempt to persuade Trump to distance himself from Poilievre. In recent weeks, according to the sources, Conservative Party operatives talked about trying to get Conservative Member of Parliament Jamil Javani to ask his former Yale roommate, Vice President J.D. Vance, to talk some sense into Donald Trump. Poilievre's office did not reply to messages asking about those internal conversations or whether Javani has spoken to Vance recently. But the timing of all of that needs to be noted. You had those discussions between Poilievre's, Lieutenant Giovanni and J.D. Vance, and then all of a sudden Donald Trump goes, you know what, I think I'd rather work with the Liberal Party than Poilievre. I'm not sure I like that guy, Poilievre. And then Poilievre was like, you see, Donald Trump doesn't like me. Now you should vote for me, despite all the times I was acting like a Donald Trump stooge, despite the fact that I'm Maple MAGA. You see, Donald Trump's, it was obviously all so coordinated. Wasn't it all just so totally obvious? By the way, this is from CBC. This conservative MP is best friends with Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, July 17th, 2024. And here you see conservative member of parliament, Jamil Giovanni, who is, the right hand, basically, of Pierre Poilievre. And he was going there to kind of arrange this election interference to have Donald Trump help the Conservative Party win the election. But the polls right now are showing the Liberal Party run by Mark Carney, Prime Minister Carney, taking the lead, which is a complete flip of what was happening a few months back. And just to show you that Poilievre is Maple MAGA through and through, I mean, he was doing the whole right-wing podcast bro routine that Donald Trump did. Poilievre is Doge Boy. He's a Doge Boy. You see him right here, Elon Musk amplifying Poilievre on his interview with far right-wing podcaster Jordan Peterson, where he was talking about how he didn't think healthcare was a right that Canadians should have, and they were privatizing healthcare. And then he would say, oh, the woke mind virus, the woke this, the woke that. Here is a video that I think really kind of sums it up. Are Trump and Pierre Poilievre the same? This account posted at Guy Filicella. Play this clip.
Fake news.
Fake news.
The left-wing censorship regime,
Their woke censorship ideology
have turned our once great cities into cesspools of bloodshed and crime.
Has unleashed a crime wave like we have never seen.
We have to stop with political correctness.
Woke political correctness.
Defeating the radical left.
radical leftist authoritarian agenda.
We want those great Canadian truckers to know that we are with them all the way.
I'm proud of the truckers and I stand with them.
Your organization
You are
is
attacking
terrible.
our news organization.
Your organization
Can you give us a
is
chance to
terrible.
ask
We have basically a liberal heckler who snuck in here today.
And remember, by the way, 3 months ago, Donald Trump said he was looking forward to working with Pierre Poilievre because they're close. Poilievre, Trump, Poilievre, Musk, Poilievre, Doge Boy. That's what's going on here. Here, play this clip.
The G7 is not exactly strong. I think Trudeau might resign today. Are you looking forward to working with Pierre Poilievre, the new guy?
I am. If that's what happens, certainly it would be very good. Our views would be more aligned, certainly.
And here's what Pierre Poilievre posted last week. Last night, Donald Trump endorsed Mark Carney. It's so stupid. Donald Trump didn't endorse Mark Carney. This is what the Maple MAGA in the Conservative Party arranged. And you saw the Alberta Premier Daniel Smith's outreach. You heard that on the Breitbart. You see Jamil Giovanni from the Conservative Party meeting with J.D. Vance. And then Donald Trump's like, ooh, I would rather work with the Liberals. I think I'd be scared to work with the Conservative Party. And then the Conservative Party leader, Pierre Poilievre, goes, you see, Donald Trump's endorsing Mark Carney. It's so ridiculous. By the way, take a look at this. Here, can you imagine Donald Trump ever doing anything like this? The answer is it's a rhetorical question. Here's Prime Minister Carney going out for a wheel with the Edmonton Oilers before speaking to the press in what I showed you. Here, play this clip. By the way, I like that he went to Edmonton also. I think that was a powerful statement to make. What's Donald Trump been saying, though? Even with this Jamil Giovanni outreach to Trump, and even with this whole plan hatched by Daniel Smith and Pierre Poilievre to try to have America interfere in the Canadian elections to help the Conservative Party and undermine the Liberal Party led by Prime Minister Carney, previously Trudeau, who's actually standing up to this heinous Trump regime. Like, Trump wants to conquer Canada. He wants to invade it. And he keeps on saying it over and over again like this. Here, let's play the clip.
with Canada than you are with some
Only
of our biggest adversaries.
Only
Why?
because it's meant to be our 51st Street. And
Okay,
but
but
but listen to this for a second.
We need their territory. They have territorial advantage. We're not going to let them get close to China.
Look,
right?
I deal with every country, indirectly or directly. One of the nastiest countries to deal with is Canada. The people that, now this was Trudeau, the people that good old Justin, I call him Governor Trudeau, his people were nasty. And they weren't telling the truth. They never told the truth. You know that, they'd say, well, we don't charge. Well, they do. They charge tremendous. And
gotta love this. Prime Minister Carney over the weekend posted this video with Mike Myers, Canadian. This cracked me up. Here, watch this.
Let's go. Mr. Prime Minister, Mike Myers, what are you doing here? I just thought I'd come up and check on things.
You live in the States?
Yeah, but I'll always be Canadian.
But you live in the States?
Yeah, so?
Do you remember Mr. Dressup?
The children's show on CBC?
What were the names of Mr. Dressup's two puppet friends?
Casey and Finnegan?
Bud the
Spud?
Howie?
Meeker?
Capital Saskatchewan?
Regina?
Tragically?
Hip?
You're a defenseman defending a 2-on-1. What do you do?
Take away the pass, obviously.
What are the 2 seasons in Toronto?
Winter and construction.
Wow. You really are Canadian.
Yeah. But let me ask you, Mr. Prime Minister, will there always be a Canada?
There will always be a Canada.
All right. Elbows up.
Elbows up.
And I've said it before, when I think about Prime Minister Carney and I think about Donald Trump, Prime Minister Carney, governor of the Bank of Canada, helped Canada through the kind of great recessions in the mid-2000s. Then Prime Minister Carney was the governor for the Bank of England, dealing with the fallout from Brexit. I mean, a true economic genius, as I like to say, the banker, and the banker who knows his stuff. Then Donald Trump, the bankrupter. So you have the banker, and then you have the bankrupter, and there you have there. And then when it comes to Pierre Poilievre, I mean, the question: are you Vichy or are you Vimy? And Poilievre is clearly Vichy. He's Vichy as you get right here. Oh, I want to show you this last moment where Prime Minister Carney stood up to this right-wing reporter in Edmonton who was grilling him, kind of like you would expect. I don't know, like a Fox or a Newsmax or something. And just watch how Prime Minister Carney handles this. Here, play this clip.
And who are our clients for that? Who are our customers? Do we only have one customer to the south of us? The customer that's attacking us? That doesn't respect the trade agreements that they signed? Or should we develop new customers? New customers in Europe. What's required, if I may, what's required for those new customers is to build out trade corridors and infrastructure, including what I referenced in my previous answer and discussed with the Premier, is the potential to go north, go to new deep water ports. Churchill is an example, Gray's Point in Nunavut as another. And that creates a whole new set of opportunities for Albertans as a whole, for people across the country, for these hardworking people around me and those like them in the trades. And that's what my job is.
I'll take that as a no then.
No, you'll take that as a very comprehensive answer to your question.
Thank you. Next question.
And I think that clip alone doesn't do it justice, although you saw the mic drop moment at the end. Let me show you this part where Prime Minister Carney, first gets the question. He's like, well, that's an unusual question. But you see how good on his feet Prime Minister Carney is. Here, play this clip.
You recently...
Sorry about the microphone.
Yeah, no problem. I'm a pretty tall guy. You have not been elected in a federal election yet, and you recently flew to Europe on government wide-body jet at the expense of at least $500,000. So the question I have for you today, and maybe I'll say this before I ask the question, these people around you all paid for that flight, and you've not been elected yet. So will you commit to refunding these taxpayers for that flight?
Well, it's an interesting question, way of framing it. Look, and I'm going to go back to, I'm going to allude to the question that was asked previously by Mr. Staples from the Journal. and the situation that we're in as a country, which is we are in an economic crisis that's brought on. Sorry, I'm going to answer the question. Brought on by the tariffs that have been put on Canada, actual and prospective. One of the challenges...
The economic crisis was brought on by former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and you were his advisor at the time.
I think you would find...
These people did not create that problem.
I certainly... hey, nobody in Canada created that problem. Nobody in Canada created that problem. The U.S. government has decided to put tariffs on all of its closest allies. All of its closest allies. I wouldn't for a moment suggest that anyone in Canada is the cause of this. What our responsibility is to take action to react to a different world that we're in. And part of the way we do that is we build out new partnerships, new opportunities, including opportunities. And I'm going to give you a specific one, and then I don't know if you have one more follow-up, but I'll give you a specific example. It goes to my previous answer, something I also discussed with the Premier this morning, which is Canada has many advantages, and one of them is in critical metals and minerals. One of the issues is how are we going to develop the trade routes and the trade corridors rapidly in order to export those critical metals and minerals.
Powerful stuff right there. Let me know what you think. Elections have been called. April 28th is the day. Prime Minister Carney off to a great start. And I would say Pierre Poilievre off to Doge Boy off to a bad Vichy Doge Boy is off to a bad start. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.